Camel Supercross Series. As the midway point of the 18-event Camel Supercross Series draws near, the action is heating up. Team Honda's defending champion Jeff Stanton has fought his way to within 4 points of series leader Frenchman Jean-Michel Bayle. Just 29 points back, Atlanta winner Damon Bradshaw. Behind the front-running trio, a pack of victory-hungry riders are ready to attack. Will one of them emerge as a contender here in Phoenix? Find out next. It's Supercross 91, the ultimate challenge. Supertracks presents Supercross 91, the ultimate challenge. On the outskirts of Phoenix is Tempe, Arizona, home of Sun Devil Stadium. Here, thousands of fans have gathered to witness firsthand the heart-stopping, handlebar-banging action of the series that has captured the attention of motorsports fans throughout the land. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Myers. You're about to see some of the most exciting and amazing action that you have ever seen within the confines of a stadium. With me to help bring you that excitement, 7 times a women's national motocross champion, Mercedes Gonzalez. And Mercedes, here on the floor of Sun Devil Stadium, they have heaped literally hundreds of thousands of yards of dirt. They have built ruts into it. They've built jumps. They've built high-speed straightaways. We're going to have a heck of a race out here today.
Yes, Larry, most definitely. They've even built up the jumps to make the riders literally go into orbit, and there's rows of whoop-de-doos that are going to create a lot of excitement.
Whoop-de-doos. We'll find out more about whoop-de-doos a little later in the program, as well as the rest of this fantastic track here at Sun Devil Stadium. Now, with us down trackside is Wendy Walsh. She'll be covering the action from that vantage point as well as in the pits. Wendy?
Jeff Stanton took the win last week in Daytona. He now stands with 151 points, close behind his teammate Jean-Michel Bayle with 155. And I must say the fans here tonight are a bit chilly in Phoenix, but we are very excited to get this race underway. So let's go to it, Larry.
Welcome back. 125 main event about to get underway. Riders on the track just completing their parade lap. Now, this is where most Supercross riders get their start. It's a little bit easier. They don't have to compete with the established stars. Most riders look forward, though, to riding the 250 class. After all, that's where the bucks are. They move themselves up after a year or two of competition. Now, there are a few riders that will stay in that class forever. Well, the AMA has the answer to that.
Next year, I'll have to ride 250s. Before this year, I was 174 and you need 180 to go out. So I had to pull out of a few races last year so I could ride 125s this year. But next year, I'll definitely have to ride 250s.
For right now, the 250 class is pretty tough. Competition's real good. I mean, I'm thinking I could be in there, but as far as a threat in the 250s right now, I don't think I'm capable of that. But a couple years down the line, when I move into the 250s, I'm looking forward to being right up in there. I hope so.
I'm not really a threat to move into it, but I would like to move into it, and because that's where all the big guys are, and I'd like to get up there as soon as possible. This is my second year in the 125s. Last year, I won a couple races, so this year hasn't went so well for me, but I think I could do good in the 250s.
Well, here are a few riders that are doing good in this 125 Western regional competition. McGrath, Lamson, Boland, Craig, and Jimmy Gaddis rounds out the top 5. Mercedes, we're about to get underway with a 125cc main event, and I'll tell you, there is nothing more exciting, more enjoyable than watching these youngsters work. They're on the line. The tension is so thick here, you could cut it with a knife. They're eyeing the starter, who's located about midway down that starting straightaway, waiting for him to give the signal. You'll see him cram the bikes into gear. They just did that. They're leaning forward on the motorcycles, getting their balance ready. The gates dropped, and we're underway. Here we go, headed toward that tight corner. Mercedes, there's been action there all night tonight, and we've got some more. It is tough going through corner number 1.
Jeremy McGrath is down. Look at him. That's unfortunate.
This is going to be some kind of a race to watch now. The star of this field, number 125, Jeremy McGrath. He's the Western Regional Series points leader. He has dominated the race action. He's going to have his hands full out here now as he tries to move up the cut. And we've got more riders down. Steve Lamson. Earlier today, you said if anyone could beat McGrath, it would be Lamson. Now both of those riders are going to be well back in the pack. And look, rider number 311 is Tyson Boland. 3 of the top riders in this class, in fact, I think they're 1, 2, 3 in the standings, are all going to be running, if indeed they run at all, in last, next to last, and next to last place in this one. We're going to see some race action as they try to work their way through the pack. Now, out front, Kawasaki rider number 88, that's Mike Craig. He's another good one, followed by the Yamaha of Jeff Emig, number 18. The action, though, in that first corner and in the second corner, taking its toll, and it's going to provide all kinds of action. And Craig, you're right, Craig drops back to the number 2 position, and it's Emig, the Yamaha rider, out front. Running out in number 3 position, I think number 55, Jimmy Gaddis, has moved his Suzuki into contention. We've got a 4-way battle. Look at this. Look at the action on this racetrack. What excitement. Mercedes, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's incredible. And Jimmy Buttons is in 4th, and you know he's looking at the leader and just going, I can win in front of my home crowd.
Well, can Jimmy Button do it? We'll find out when we come back. Stay with us for more. It's Jeff Emig way out front. It's Michael Craig. And it's Jimmy Gaddis and Jimmy Button. Those are the top 4 running into number 5 position. Rider number 20 is Buddy Antunez. So Antunez is his Suzuki into contention also. And maybe having the good riders, the top riders in the standings at the back of the pack, is going to tighten up this racing up front. Let's go back to that first corner just after the start, Mercedes. And here's that crash in the first corner. What do you see?
Well, what's happening is the inside riders have so much force going that they're being pushed outside. There's just too much cluster there, and Jeremy just got caught up in the middle of it, not necessarily being his fault.
Indeed. In fact, it looked like he was minding his own business. The rider's just having to cross that corner to make the corner. And Jeremy was a victim of circumstance, so he's got his work cut out for him. Emig is really going to town. There he is, rider number 18. Comes out of Grand Terrace, California, riding Yamaha this year. And he is really, I think, the rider that Yamaha is saying, look, we've got Damon Bradshaw, an established star. We need another youngster to come along and take Damon's place maybe in a few years, someone to keep him company up there in the winner's rostrum, and they're looking for this young man to do it, Jeff Emig, and they picked a good man.
He's definitely capable of it. You know, he's been racing for pretty much his whole life ever since he was a kid, and I would say he was a great pick for that.
He's not only good in this 125 class, he's great with the 250s. He's not afraid of the stars at all.
I know, I'm not afraid to go in there. You know, that's my goal, and you know, that's where you want to end up, is winning the 250 class.
Now there's Jeremy McGrath. He's well back in the pack, rider number 125, but has worked his way all the way up to the number 9 position. Let's make that 8 as he's about to pick off one more. Goes to the inside and indeed takes over the number 8 spot. That's not too bad considering at one point he was dead last. He's really cutting the swath through this pack. Now, I don't know, Mercedes. Out front, Jeff Emig a long way. I don't know if McGrath could catch him or not. I'd have to say at this point, though, that if I'm Jeremy McGrath, I'm going to keep trying. You know, I mean, that's the way the guy operates.
I tell you, Larry, you can't count him on. Jeremy has surprised us all. He's shown in the last couple races that he can come from last and win.
Oh, he's riding like a wild man. Now, we just had a head-on shot of him, and only a few bike lengths in front of him. I'm going to say maybe 15 bike lengths in front of him. I saw Buddy Antunez. Look at him rail around the outside. He's not shutting that Honda off. Incredible riding on the part of Jeremy McGrath. He is just unbelievable. And there's Buddy Antunez, so he is really catching the pack.
He is, Larry. You know, he's taking chances right now that he probably wouldn't be if he's in the lead. But he knows he's got to give it all.
Or is there another way to do it, Mercedes? You know, well, how does a champion do things like that?
Well, right now, through his mind, he's just thinking pass. Focus on the guy in front of him and just pass him as fast as he can because time runs out awful quick.
Well, Jeremy McGrath, I believe, is all the way up somewhere around the number 6 position. If I'm counting right from up here, there were a lot of riders down, and it's going to be difficult for us to, you know, determine that 100%. But he's well up there, very close to the number 5 or 6 spot. We'll say that for sure, as this race is still barely underway.
Well, he's just picked up 2 other places, so I would count him probably in the top 6.
McGrath looking to be, we'll count him again one more time, 5th place. He's in the number 5 position. Jeremy McGrath is riding an unbelievable race. He is just rocketing around this. Can he keep it up, Mercedes?
I think he can. You know, he's in good shape, and he doesn't seem to run out of energy. And what's really surprising is I haven't seen Steve Lamson move up quite as fast as Jeremy, and so I got to give Jeremy a round of applause for his performance.
Well, we have just about 7 laps remaining in this one. Jeff Emig is well under control, holding down that #1 spot. He's in the ideal position. He's strengthened his lead. He's lengthened it, and looking very smooth. He's taking all the right lines on the racetrack. He's got to be careful, though. You know, if he gets out front with that big lead and slows his pace, if he tries to protect it, that's when a rider gets in trouble.
That's right, Larry. You know, a lot of times you're out front and you start getting in a slower pace, and then the back markers get up on you, like Jeremy, let's say. His pace is so much faster, and you just can't pick it up all of a sudden.
No, you sure can't. And another danger of slowing down is the track starts to change on you. You don't hit the jump quite as hard, and when you land, it's in unfamiliar territory. Now, he's ragged. Look at that. Right there, there's an example of what we're talking about. Jeff Emig is not now riding as good as he did in the early going, and I believe it's because he is trying to control the pace of the race. He's not riding his own race. He's letting the racetrack and traffic dictate it. Look at that. He is just terribly sloppy. Terrible. He looked over his shoulder at the rider that he just nailed like it was his. That's Lance Smale, and he was saying, hey, what are you doing in my way? But I think that it was his fault.
It was definitely his fault, and you're right. You know, he's not, a lot of times you're better off when you got someone pushing you, because when you're up front like that, you're frustrated, you know you're not going fast enough, and you're just desperate.
We just had a look at the distance between our leader, Jeff Emig, and number 88 on that green Kawasaki that just left our screen. That's Mike Craig, who's running in the #2 position. I think that's the battle right now for the number 3, 4, and 5 positions, if I'm not mistaken. It's the battle for third. Indeed it is. Gaddis had it, and now who's going to come out with it? It's Gaddis and Antonez going for third. Gaddis is number 55. Buddy Antonez is number 20. Right behind them, coming from dead last, number 125, Jeremy McGrath. Look at that. McGrath has moved all the way up to the number 3 position. He's going to come out of this in third.
He passed 2 riders right there with no problem. He's just, this kid is really talented. He's using his head out there.
One more lap, and Emig is going to be one happy guy. Now, in 1990, Emig was the Camel 125cc shootout champion, and that was his last real big win. And he's going to put another one in the record book tonight. Got to keep it upright for a few more corners. And he's riding a little bit better now than he did at mid-race, Mercedes. I think he's gone back to his early lap style, where he's just letting it hang out and doing his job. Look at there. He's feeling it. He's feeling good.
Yeah, you can definitely tell he's pumped about this win. You know, he really needed it the way he was riding, and halfway through the race, it looked pretty scary there for a little bit.
Through that sand pit, no problem that time around. Had everything well under control for this young man. Rider number 18, Jimmy Gaddis, takes the checkered flag, whips it from, not Jimmy Gaddis, excuse me, but Jeff Emig. He took that checkered flag and whipped it sideways, and here comes Jeremy McGrath. Now he's going to finish in the number 3 position. Ahead of him was Mike Craig, rider number 88 aboard the Kawasaki. We didn't see a lot of Craig during that race, and McGrath is pumped about what he did. Almost landed on that lapper in front of him. I guess that's one of the dangers of showing off over the finish line jump. Let's go down to Wendy Walsh, who will be with our winner, Jeff Emig.
Thanks, Larry. Jeff, you have just come off some injuries. How did it feel out there winning a main?
Well, when, you know, I'm riding injured, my shoulders messed up, my respiratory system, and, you know, I got out front, and then, you know, you're so, you worked up in the race, I didn't, you know, I don't even think I was hurt. I hurt now, but, you know, on that last lap, I had no pain at all.
Well, you look wonderful out there. Jeff Emig, the winner of the 125 main. Larry, let's take a look at the final result.
He won the Ultimate Challenge. We're in Sun Devil Stadium, Tempe, Arizona, for round 8 of the Camel Supercross Series. Action so far has been extremely exciting, and no reason to think that it's going to be anything else but that the rest of the evening. Now, the 250s are on the start line. They're taking their warm-up laps before we get into those main events. Let's take a look at how they got there. Pair of heat races, top 4 from each of the heats go directly to the main. Then 2 semifinals for those that didn't make it out of the heats. From the semis, we'll take 5 riders from each of those 2 semis. That'll give us a total of 18 at that point. One last chance, the last chance qualifier, fittingly enough, and only the top 2 riders will make it into the main. That'll give us a full field of 20. And here's how it looked in heat race number 1. Now, don't forget, only the top 4 riders, as our chart just showed you, will make it into the main event. The rest of them go through semis and into the last chance qualifier. Pile up at corner number 1. None of the riders were injured. They got back into the fray. They would later come back and ride the semis and that last chance qualifier. Meanwhile, out front, in heat race number 1, it was Jeff Ward, the 2-time Supercross champ, followed by Larry Brooks, Dean Matson, Damon Bradshaw, and back in the pack, Jeff Stanton. There's Stanton just flashing into view. Now, Stanton was well back, approximately midway when this heat race number 1 got underway. We'll watch and see what kind of progress Stanton makes, because, again, only the top 4 move into the main. Damon Bradshaw cutting the swath through the pack, but Dean Matson coming right back. Kind of surprising Bradshaw. He's used to making the pass and having it stick. Matson says can't have everything your way, and he just buries Bradshaw in a shower of dirt. But Damon Bradshaw comes right back, and look what happens to Matson. Meanwhile, that was Jeff Stanton that just flashed by, that blur of red. So Stanton on the gas. You saw him there again just to the outside of the screen. And now watch this crash again between Bradshaw and Matson, and let's see what happens here. Both riders, they're looking to be in control of their motorcycles. Now, well, it's hard to tell from that angle whether or not Bradshaw took a piece of Matson when he went by, or if Matson did that all on his own. Either way, Matson is out of it. Bradshaw's in contention for the win. Now watch our defending champion, Jeff Stanton, on the left side of your screen with that big number 1 plate. He goes high, squares it off, comes to the inside of Bradshaw, and moves into 3rd place just like that. So the man of the hour, certainly the fastest rider on the racetrack at this particular time, coming from about 10th place on the opening lap all the way to 3rd, is Jeff Stanton. Meanwhile, out front, it's Jeff Ward. He's running away with this one, and Larry Brooks in the green Kawasaki trying to hold off a charging Jeff Stanton, and here comes Bradshaw back into it. This was a heck of a battle as Bradshaw putting the pressure on Stanton. Stanton putting it on Brooks. It paid off. Stanton goes into the number 2 position. That puts Brooks in 3rd. Larry Ward back to 4th with just, let's correct that, Damon Bradshaw back to 4th with just 1 lap to go. Working their way through lap riders, and these riders are in contention for more than just a starting pick on the gate. They're trying to be the fastest rider of the night. We'll get into that in just a moment, but that's an opportunity for them to earn a lot more bucks before the evening is over, and at the season's end, a $25,000 bonus. It all has to do with who turns in the fastest qualifying heat race of the night. And right now, that honor is going to belong to Jeff Ward. This is heat race number 1. And Ward is checking him off, heading for that checkered flag. And there, Jeff Ward takes it. And the time of Jeff Ward's heat race, 6:04 and 33/100. Let's go to Jeff Ward and Wendy Walsh.
Thanks, Larry. I'm here with Jeff Ward. And, Jeff, you won this event last time we were here, which was 1987. And that was also the year you won the whole season. So did this boost your confidence level out there tonight?
Well, I've been riding really well lately. I'm over my wrist injury, so that's helping out a lot. But you know, winning here in 87 definitely brings back good memories. So usually when you come to a track that has good memories, you do well. So I'm hoping to do well here tonight.
And we hope that luck is going to go over into the main event tonight. Thank you. Back to you, Larry.
Well, thank you, Wendy. Our congratulations to Jeff Ward. Here are the qualifiers from heat race number 1. Ward, Stanton, Brooks, and Bradshaw. The rest of the field will have to make it through the semis. And here's a look at earlier action in heat race number 2. You had a brief look at Jean-Michel Bale, rider number 8. He's well back in the pack on the extreme outside edge of the track, and Bale is going to have his work cut out for him in this one. Meanwhile, at the front end of the pack and having absolutely no trouble is rider number 7. That's Jeff Matasevich. Following Matasevich, Mike Fisher. Then comes Mike Kidrowski. And already Jean-Michel Bale has broke free from that huge log jam that he suffered in corner number 1 and is up into the number 4 or 5. Let's make that the 5 position. An unbelievable ride by Bale. I don't know how he gets himself out of the messes that occasionally he finds himself in. It is a rarity, and you wouldn't think he's had that kind of practice. Mike LaRocco trailing in the number 5 position, but again, only the top 4 riders make it into the main. And we started to talk about the Coors Light Silver Bullet Showdown. This is the award that will go at the end of the season to the rider that has accumulated the most fast heats during the season. For being the fastest rider of the night in heat race competition, a rider gets 1 point. At season's end, the rider that has the most points will be eligible to win that $25,000 bonus from Coors. In addition, should a rider turn in the fast heat of the night, then win the main event the same night, he could take home an extra $6,000. So all in all, the heat race qualifying has taken on a new look. It's no longer just to establish starting positions. It's to establish a bank account, if you will. Now Mike Kidrowski has moved around Mike Fisher. That drops Fisher back to the number 3 position. Let's put Kidrowski up to the 2nd spot. The time that Jeff Matasevich is shooting for, 6:04.43. That's the time that Jeff Ward turned in heat race number 1. And it would appear from this vantage point that Matasevich is going to get the job done. He's going awfully fast on this racetrack. Matasevich followed by Kidrowski, Mike Fisher. There's Jean-Michel Bale rounding out the field. They're nearing that finish line jump, and the seconds beating away. Matasevich has this one easily in hand, and he will turn in the fastest heat race of the night. Let's go to Wendy.
Kawasaki was there in the first heat. You're here in the second heat. Is Kawasaki going to be in the winner's circle tonight?
I sure hope so. You know, my teammate Jeff Ward won the first qualifier, made it look pretty easy. I didn't have a problem winning the second qualifier, so you know, I think me and Ward are going to be up there for the main event. Definitely, the laps are pretty short, and the races are going to be that long, so the start's going to be real important.
Well, we'll have our eye on the green. Thanks very much. Back to you, Larry.
Thank you, Wendy, and our congratulations to Matasevich, fastest time of the night. Kidrowski, Fisher, and Bale also qualifying out of heat race number 2. Here's a look at the semis. Top 5 go to the main. Smith, Bowen, DeHoop, Madsen, and Stevenson, semi number 1. In the second semi, it was Cooper, LaRocco, Ryan Hawthorne, and Mike Chamberlain. Now let's take a look at the standings in the Coors Light Silver Bullet Showdown. This is the challenge that will pit the riders throughout the season to see who can turn in the most fast heat race times. $25,000 awaits the winner. It's Stanton, Matasevich with 3 apiece, and Jean-Michel Bale with 1. Now for a quick look at the track built inside Sun Devil Stadium here in Tempe. Treacherous affair right off the start. Take a look at that sharp left-hand corner. Usually they're not quite that sharp. They're more rounded, giving a rider an opportunity to get around them a little bit easier. But this one, it's going to be tough all night long. Lots of jumps and whoop-de-doos. Spectacular aerial action here in Tempe. It's going to give the crowd a tremendous thrill. And, of course, it'll provide a challenge to the riders. Earlier, Wendy Walsh took a closer look.
They said, Wendy, you've got to feel this to believe it. They said, Wendy, you'll never know until you try. They said, Wendy, be like the bad boys. Hit the dirt. So I did. Television, folks. This is Mercedes Gonzalez, and I'm Wendy Walsh saying stay tuned for more action as Supercross 91 continues.
Arizona, I'm Larry Myers. With me, Mercedes Gonzalez, and the 250cc main event is just about to get underway. The riders are in their parade lap. We'll have that action coming up very shortly. First, Mercedes, let's take a look at the standings heading into Phoenix. It was Bale, Stanton, Bradshaw, and a tie for 4th with Kidrowski and Matasevich. Now, before we get into the main event here tonight, let's take a look at action from Supercross 91 from Atlanta. A week's worth of rain prior to the Atlanta round of the Camel Supercross Series left the Atlanta track full of mud and ruts. For the competition, it was one more notch in the already loaded guns of Team Honda, who heading into the Atlanta round had won every race of the series. Both Jean-Michel Bale, the series leader, and defending Supercross champion Jeff Stanton actually enjoy riding in adverse conditions and are particularly good in mud. It was no surprise then in the early going to find the Honda duo close to the front. Yamaha's Damon Bradshaw was the leader with Stanton second and Bale third. Within striking distance, the Kawasaki's of Jeff Ward, Mike Kidrowski, and Jeff Matasevich, with Yamaha's Jeff Hennig sandwiched among them. On lap 8, Jeff Ward made the first error and handed 4th place to teammate Kidrowski. 2 laps later, Jeff Stanton made error number 2, allowing Bale to slide into second. For the next several laps, Bale hounded Bradshaw, but to no avail. The teenager from Charlotte, North Carolina, handled the pressure and, in fact, in the closing laps, actually pulled away. The Honda win streak was broken. The 250cc main event about to get underway. Mercedes, it all boils down to this. This is where the points come from, the money comes from. This is for all the marbles, and oh, it's going to be a good one.
Definitely, Larry. You know, those guys right now have a lot of butterflies. Even though they've been doing this for 2-3 years, you can always count on being nervous.
Oh, absolutely. Once the starting gate drops, and it's going to drop any second now, those butterflies, I'm told, go away. And here they go, headed toward corner number 1 in that treacherous corner that we alluded to. And would you look at that? All of the riders are making it through all right. That is an unbelievable sight. Jeff Stanton, that is a believable sight. Out front, he's followed closely by, look at that, Mike Fisher, rider number 14, in second place, the veteran. And I might add, the last time we raced here in 1987, the winner of this event, that was Jeff Ward aboard the Kawasaki. We've got the good ones up front. Jean-Michel Bale is running just off the pace as the rest of the field sorts themselves out. Back to the leaderboard, and already Ward is trying to go to work on Stanton. He had a wheel on the inside, but Stanton just bullied his way around that corner to hold on to the number 1 spot. We have Jeff Stanton. He's the one, the defending champ. He has the number 1 plate, and says he's going to keep it this year. He's only 4 points out of the lead. Right behind him, the veteran, 29 years of age, is Jeff Ward. Running in the number 3 position is the KTM out of Austria. That's Mike Fisher from Santee, California, aboard. And Stanton would like to put some distance between himself and the rest of the field. They're not going to let him at this point. They want to keep him well within their sights.
You know, Larry, right now you got 2 of the strongest riders in the sport. Jeff Stanton in first and Jeff Ward in second. They're in great physical shape, and they're just so strong.
Jeff Ward has been challenging all year long, and he's been as fast on the racetrack as anyone. The veteran, 29 years of age, as I stated. He's riding in a sport that's considered to be a young man's game, but Ward is kind of proving them wrong. What I was alluding to is the fact that he's been so fast all year, but he's had his problems. He'd get caught in a rut. He'd lose control of the bike. He went through a brief injury period about 3-4 races into the season. But he's looking strong tonight. Look at Mike Fisher come in. Oh, boy, and what a surprise. Fisher took the measure there, almost held it, of Jeff Ward, and it looked like he was going to get away with it, but Ward caught him out of the corner of his eye and really got on the gas to regain control of the number 2 position. Fisher is riding just so good, Mercedes.
Boy, I tell you, Fisher is on a high right now. He's been on a high for the last 2 races. In passing Jeff Ward, he's got to be pumped.
Mike Fisher, rider number 14 aboard the KTM out of Santee, California. And there's Jeff Ward running in the number 2 position, being chased by Fisher. Running up in the number 4 spot is the Suzuki, I believe, of Mike LaRocco. We've not had a good look at him, but that should be number 6.
No,
that's Guy Cooper. Let's correct that. It's Guy Cooper, rider number 5 out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Cooper's in 4th place. 5th place is Mike Kidrowski aboard the Kawasaki, number 4, right behind Cooper. So all the good riders, and just off that pace is Jean-Michel Bale. We've got them all up front for this main event, and a long way to go. There's going to be a lot of excitement in this one before it's over. Now Kidrowski challenging Cooper for that position. Right behind him, Matasevich, then comes Bale.
Boy, you got an interesting race right here. You know, Mike's just trying to get around Cooper and just get in front of the pack.
Well, Cooper is riding defensively, and look at that. Mike Kidrowski tried to get underneath, and Cooper just refused to accept that semi-block pass, if you will, and he almost took the wheels right out from under him. And here comes Bale. Bale has passed Matasevich. Now Matasevich comes back strong. Bale with an inside line. Matasevich is going to have the drive. Who's going to make it stick? Matasevich and Bale going at it, and Matasevich gains it back. All of these riders are riding at a level that we've not seen the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, right now, you know, they're just scrambling. And did you see Matasevich cut the turn off for Bale? Bale was real lucky he didn't go down there.
Well, Bale was not so lucky 1 week ago, Mercedes, in Daytona Beach, a round that we did not carry as part of our series. Here's what the riders have to say.
Trying to ride very fast, and I crashed a couple times, so I lost a lot of time to take my bike and come back on a race. But for me, it was a good race, you know. I was very happy with this race because I was very fast, and I think I was more fast than everybody, so I just finished 3rd. It's not so bad, and it's a good race.
Last week was a really big race for me. I felt that was the first race I felt confident in and felt strong in. I could hang on 100% and hang it out a little more, so that brought my confidence up.
Everything worked good. Great start. Just went out and rode smart, consistent. Had about 6 seconds lead pretty much the whole way. Didn't have to push it to do anything stupid. Just rode smart and conservative, and most of all gathered those points and of course, a win.
The Coors Light Challenge, round 8 of the Camel Supercross Series. This one's sanctioned, as they all are, by the American Motorcyclist Association, and they're doing that organization proud tonight. We have got a barn burner of a race underway. Way out front is Jeff Stanton. I shouldn't say way out front. Actually, his lead is anything but secure at this point. He would like to make it a bigger one if he possibly could. Behind him, though, is where the action is, and they are really hammering each other.
Sometimes, you know, the action isn't always up front, and right now, like tonight, it's in the middle of the pack in that 5th, 6th, 7th position. Look at these guys go at it.
Guy Cooper has never won a Supercross event, and, you know, he's due. He's 29 years of age also, and the young man is, I call him young, because obviously he's younger than I am. And that time Kedrowski made it pay. Yeah, he definitely did a block pass. At Mercedes, a block pass about the most effective way to get the job done in Supercross.
Look at Bales now challenging Kedrowski, and right here he might have it. He sure as enough did. He saw that opening, and he just decided to cut that pass off for Mike Kedrowski.
But the difference in the way that Bale did it and Kedrowski did it, there wasn't even a resemblance of contact there. Bale is so smooth, he just avoids all of that type thing, and he's just an incredible rider. No two ways about it. Jeff Stanton continues to lead this one, back in the number 2 position, and there is the battle. There's Jeff Ward running in second, and Mike Fisher still holding down the number 3 spot. Fisher doing an incredible job, as are all of the riders up front. They're really hammering on this racetrack and on each other. You can't afford in Supercross to lose your concentration one iota.
No, you can't, and you can see Bale reeling in Fisher, so the race is definitely going to get even more interesting if it goes on.
Here's an interesting scenario, Mercedes. What if Jean-Michel Bale is able to move up into the number 2 position? Do you think he'll be able to get by Stanton?
Boy, that's tough, Larry. You know, Stanton is probably the rider he has the most difficult in passing, just because he's so strong and so experienced.
Well, indeed he is. Stanton has won from Sherwood, Michigan, the Supercross Championship the past 2 years. He's looking to become only the second rider in the history of the sport to win 3 titles. The other one, of course, was Bob Hurricane Hanna. And you know, this rivalry between Stanton and Bale, they're teammates, but on the track, they're the 2 guys that have done all the winning this year. In 7 events, they've each won 3. We had a chance earlier to talk with both of them about that rivalry and whether or not it might affect the friendship that they have being teammates. Here's what they had to say.
The competition on the track is of course, very intense, but off the track, you know, I talk to him and you know, we're friends. So I would say the competition on the track is going to get much more intense, and you know, hopefully that won't carry into any bad feelings off the track, but you never know. Anything can happen these days.
The race is, for me, it's two different sports. I ride all the week for practice, for fun, and when I come to the race, it's just for win. So for me, it doesn't matter. I didn't have any pressure with him, and he's a friend.
Jean-Michel Bale running in the number 4 position. Let's correct that. Out front, it's Stanton, then Jeff Ward, Mike Fisher, Jean-Michel Bale 4th. There's Mike Fisher running 3rd. And here comes Bale in 4th. Mike Kedrowski is 5th. Jeff Matasevich 6th. At this point in the race, and I would guess that we're somewhere getting closer, approaching the midway point. Certainly a lot of time remaining. It only takes one little error. It takes one extra triple jump for several yards of racetrack turf to be dissolved, and we're going to see some more of that before this one ends. You can put that one in the bank. 2 times a world champ, Jean-Michel Bale, rider number 8 through the sand pit, and the Bale is looking good. He is so smooth, but look, he looked over his shoulder. You know, I think that he thinks he should be running away with this thing, but Kedrowski has not gone away. I believe these riders are riding with an intensity that has been missing maybe since the opening rounds.
Yes, you're right. You know, he looked back, and that's one thing you always try to avoid, because when you start looking back, you're just not concentrating, and you're not looking at the guy in front of you, and that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, you got to look at the guy in front of you. You got to be aware of the guy behind you. You got to concentrate on the track all at the same time. Mercedes, much too complicated for me. But speaking of tracks, it's the subject of this week's Man and Machine.
Larry, I'm down here in the sand pits with Bob Keys. He's the superintendent of Pitch and Construction Company, and that's the company that built this track here in Phoenix. Why don't you give us some insight about this particular sand pit?
Well, we've got probably about 100, 120 yards of sand in here. It was raining yesterday, and we tried to wait to the very last minute to get the sand in. Wet sand tends to make lines where they can follow each other. So what we try to do is stay with the dry, because as they make a line, the sand will fill back into itself, and the lines are not as predominant throughout the sand pit. After each heat, they'll come back out here and spread it, smooth it back out to do away with the lines to keep them from going to the base.
And that's a sample of how that sand pit will jump up and bite you if you're not careful. That's it for this week's Man and Machine. But we have a lot more Supercross action coming your way. When we come back, we'll have the exciting conclusion of this week's main event.
Look at this, Larry. Bale's already challenging Fisher. I would say Bale's still in contention to get at least second overall.
Well, that will be interesting. Ward is going to be a tough customer to pass if indeed he can get by Fisher. Fisher taking up as much of the racetrack as he possibly can. Now, the problem here is Mike Fisher now is concerned about two things. One, he wants to go as fast as he can to keep Ward in sight, but he also is trying to protect that position, trying to keep Bale from making the pass. When you do that, you run into trouble.
Yeah, you do sometimes, but also the thing that could benefit Fisher from this is it'll push him to catch Jeff Ward, and you know, it might even gain him a position doing that.
There was a quick look at that blue flag that we alluded to earlier. That means that a rider is being lapped, and that's just a cautionary measure too. And there goes Bale. You're right to the inside, and Bale used all the technique that he's learned in becoming a world champion 2 different times. He applied it to Supercross and made the pass. Went to the inside, and Mercedes, it was a thing of beauty.
Yes, it is. You know, it's like you said before, when Bale made his pass on Kudrowski, it was clean, and the same thing this time. You know, they're just clean passes because he's a very talented rider.
Well, that's the only way the young Frenchman knows how to ride. 22 years of age, currently residing in Redondo Beach, California, and now he's trying to draw a bead on Jeff Ward. He can see him. He's a long straightaway ahead. He can see him up there, and in fact, look, let's make that a short straightaway ahead. There was Ward around the corner, and there was Bale right behind him. Bale might well be right now the fastest rider on the racetrack. And go back to what you said earlier in the 125 main event. When a rider gets the adrenaline flowing, Mercedes, he just seems to have things going his way. And look, there's the pass around the outside. No, he was not able to clear that lap rider. I thought Bale would go to the outside of Ward, but a lap rider was in the way, and he was not able to get that job done. So he settled back in to watch the lines of Jeff Ward. He's studying, looking for a place to stick the wheel in, to let Ward know he's there, maybe make him nervous.
Yeah, and Jeff Ward right now knows Bale's behind him, so he's trying to even pick up the pace. And as you can see, they both reeled in Stanton. This could become a real interesting race.
There goes Bale to the inside. That's where he made the pass on Mike Fisher. He had that line wired, and he takes over second. And there is Jeff Stanton in front of him. This one is not over. Here's the battle we've been looking for all year long between Stanton and Bale. Going back to what they had to say about their rivalries, maybe we're going to get a taste of it out here today. I do not think that Jeff Stanton would like being passed. In fact, I know he would not like being passed by Bale, and I can't believe he would take it setting down.
Well, I tell you, right now, Bale's looking like he's reeling in Stanton, and he's been passing everybody on that finish. Well, actually, in the starting line corner, he's going to set up Bale, I think, right there.
We take a look at round 7 of the Supercross series.
There we go.
Daytona, Florida. Look at that, the same place. Now, Stanton has a chance, Mercedes, Stanton has a chance to go to school on that because Bale didn't get the job done. Stanton knows the next time around that Bale is going to hug that inside line, so it's going to be interesting to see where he elects to go. Will he go to the inside, or will he go to the outside? What's your guess?
Well, I tell you, yeah, that was Bale's mistake maybe to try a little too early because he gave it away. And like you said, Stanton's well aware of it, and Stanton's not a dumb rider. He's going to protect that line.
Well, we'll see what happens. They're crossing that finish line jump, heading toward that sweeping corner. And the question is going to be when they get there, whether or not Stanton will take that same high line or if he'll cut to the inside. See, he held it in just a little bit tighter that time. Bale still got a wheel in, and look at that. It's going to be enough. Bale has made the pass. Stanton tried to protect the corner, but Bale...
Look at Stanton.
Coming right back at him. You know he's upset. You know he's upset with himself. He knew Stanton was going to be there.
Stanton's frustrated right now. He can't believe he had the lead and just lost it.
He can't believe that he gave it up because he knew where Bale was going to attempt the pass. And Mercedes, that's got to make him mad.
Oh, he's mad right now. Oh, and Bale almost went down with that lapper. I think Stanton, if he can, he's going to come back now, or else Bale's going to run away with it.
He definitely has the adrenaline pumping. You mentioned that when a guy gets on a roll and he catches the leader has been riding at one pace, and you can't just pick it up. Let's go back and take a look at that pass and see just how much Jeff Stanton tried to protect that line. Here it is, Mercedes.
Well, you can see Jeff knows he's going to dive inside, but he was just skittering, and Bale just got a better drive. Right here, he just clipped the top of the jump, got a better drive, and passed him in midair.
I think probably Stanton, in trying to protect that line, set himself up for the pass because he came in there under brakes, and he just didn't have the drive, which Bale did. So that was his downfall. He knows it. He'd love to do it all over again. Meanwhile, Bale has done nothing but open some daylight between himself and Jeff Stanton. And what do you do if you're Jeff Stanton? Do you regroup? Do you try to hold off your charge for the last few laps? Or do you say, hey, I made a big mistake. There's 4 points. I'm not going to endanger that 4-point difference between myself and the leader. I'm going to just wait for a better day. What do you think was running through his mind?
Yeah, that could be running through his mind, but I think Jeff always wants to win. The problem here is Bale's just riding flawless. He's got a better tempo on the track. He's got more momentum going. When something like that happens, I guess you just got to sit back and say, hey, all I'm going to get is second.
I'll tell you what, right now, that's what it looks like. We're on the last lap, that white flag waving, and this one is about to be history. It's going to take some kind of a monumental error on the part of Jean-Michel Bale for Jeff Stanton to move back into contention. Now, there's some lap riders in front of Bale. That could be a problem. We'll see how Bale gets through that traffic. I think at this stage of the game, that would be the only thing that could upset him. Now he's passing one lap rider on the inside. He still has one more in front of him. He's got to pick his way very carefully around these riders. They're a lot slower. They're unpredictable. You don't know where they're going to go, but Bale, the master, look at that. Through the sand, he is unbelievable. Jean-Michel Bale has taken over the #1 spot in this one, and he's going to streak on to the win. It's history. Jean-Michel Bale, fist up in the air, and he wins it. He wins round 8. That's his 4th win of the season. Stanton has won 3. Bradshaw has won 1. And it looks more and more like these Honda teammates are going to continue their domination as this season rolls on. And here's a quick look at that domination. This is the way they finished in the 250 main. Jean-Michel Bale, followed by Stanton, his teammates. Then came Ward, Fisher, and Kedrowski. Now, when we come back, we'll have a word with Jean-Michel Bale in. Welcome back. Jean-Michel Bale has wrapped up Supercross 91, the Ultimate Challenge. Here's Wendy Walsh with Bale.
Jean-Michel, you did not get an early lead, but you won the main.
Yeah, I feel very good. You know, I have a very bad start, and I come back from, very behind, so I'm very happy. It was, almost my best race from the start of the season right now.
Well, we certainly think so. Jean-Michel Bale, the winner of the 250 main event here tonight in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. And next week, it's off to sunny St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm Wendy Walsh.
Well, thank you, Wendy, and our congratulations to Bale, who not only won here tonight, but is on top of the championship point standings, followed by Stanton, Bradshaw, Kedrowski, and Matasevich. Mercedes, an incredible night of racing. We saw 2 very good, very exciting come-from-behind rides.
Most definitely, Larry. The first turn really provided a lot of action because a lot of riders had to come from behind.
They certainly did, and they came from behind in great fashion. Jean-Michel Bale was simply incredible. But that's the way the series has been, and it's going to get even better. The action is just starting to heat up, and hopefully the temperatures are going to heat up for us as we move to St. Petersburg, Florida for the next round of Supercross 91, the Ultimate Challenge. For Mercedes Gonzalez, for Wendy Walsh, I'm Larry Myers. So long until next week.
Later on California 9, James Caan and Billy D. Williams star in the dramatic story of football star Brian Piccolo. Be here for Brian's song tonight at 8 on the California 9 Cinema. Right now, though, Fred tries to fool the IRS through divine intervention. Sanford and Son is next.